Hi Spike, how are you
Hi,
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you for doing this interview.
Thanks for having me.
What was it like putting this together? I mean, Uke-Hunt versus doing a Me First and Gimme Gimme's album.
Oh, well, this we built from scratch. From literally, it was two of us went to Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco to try to practice and try to get some songs together, see if people would like it, to see if absolute strangers would like it first. Because it's easy if you've been in other bands that people may like. It's maybe easy for them to like you. You know what I mean? What it's not easy to do is to play on the street in front of a bunch of tourists that you don't know and who don't know you, and try to make them like you. That's a much more difficult thing. And then in the meantime, it's not just tourists. There are locals, like San Francisco locals. I don't know if you've ever been there,
Yeah.
but like shirtless, screaming. You know what I mean? Like, and so we would play for them too, and yeah, people didn't immediately come to see us. You know what I mean? Like, because on paper, like a ukulele band sounds like a really bad idea, but then people see us and they like it, and so that's the nice thing about it, is to be able to turn people. With the Gimme Gimmes, you have a bunch of people who showed up to have a good time, so your only job is not to get in the way, is to stay out of their way. You know what I mean? Which it's physical for sure, but it's not like gut wrenching. When you're starting a new band, you have to turn people, and that's gut wrenching because you don't always get a response. And sometimes you're in a place like Germany where people are very inhibited, and they don't make a sound. You try to tell jokes, they don't get it, or maybe they do get it, but they don't care, and then all of a sudden at the end of the show, they call you back for an encore. You know what I mean? So it's a very strange, yeah, it's different, but it still covers. So if one song doesn't work, you just move on to another song. It's not like you have to
Right.
write one and go through that process. So
That brings me to my next question. I know how difficult it is to get yourself noticed, whether it is as an interviewer, a band, a photographer. But I usually tend to come up with some crazy ideas, like because I'm not afraid to do stuff that other people might consider crazy or silly even.
no, that's like, yeah, that's the whole process of starting a band. I think
Yeah,
like you have to feel. You have to not take it so seriously, but you have to maybe appear to be taking it seriously, if that makes any sense.
it
Like,
does
I
to
think
me.
of the Cramps, the first show the Cramps ever played, and how difficult that must have been, and yet, like, they're impossible not to watch. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever seen like old Cramps
No,
videos?
I haven't.
You know, like they just take your attention, and you know, if somebody's not paying attention to him, there's this one video where he takes a guy's jacket off. You know what I mean? Like in the guy, I think it's in Boston or something like that. Crazy, like.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta do something
But
silly to get yourself noticed.
right, but didn't
Well,
take themselves very seriously, but knew that they were doing something really weird and really unusual that people weren't used to and
yeah,
people didn't know how to react to, but they still, I think it's like down here, like kept it together and kept the image together. I think that's a very important thing, is projecting the image of your band as well, especially if you're doing covers. You know?
yeah.
Because the rest of it, you got to have jokes and personality, because otherwise, why aren't you just playing some
Cover
shitty?
songs.
Yeah.
What were some of the things you did when you first started out with Uke-Hunt? What were some of the things you did to get noticed, and how hard was that for you to do that?
Well, doing a record on Fat was a, that was a good way to get noticed. I felt, what I mean, we busked, is what we call it when you play outside.
On the street?
Yeah, on the street. We did that for a year, and sometimes we made no money. Some days we walked away with $300 or something. You know what I mean? And
But you got your name out there.
yeah, sort of. But we couldn't use the name Uke-Hunt because it, like, we were doing it under a program, under a port the port of San Francisco, like they own a lot of the port. So they administer the street performers program. And so we couldn't use such a
It's censored.
vulgar name. Yeah.
Yeah.
So but what we were able to do, we got noticed and we were able to figure out which songs were good, if we were good, you know what I mean, what we should be doing, if we should play slower, play faster. And yeah, other than that, we just kind of kept playing shows. I think we were hoping it would sort of speak for itself, and you know, that we could just tell some jokes and bring our version of San Francisco, our concept of San Francisco, to the rest of the world.
The name Uke-Hunt, where did you came up with that?
It's from there's a joke like Michael Hunt, you know, it's an old joke, like Michael Hunt, Mike Hunt.
Oh, okay.
So that's the old joke. That's where it came from. And yeah, I don't remember, one day in like 2008 or 2009, something like that. We were playing a wedding actually, and I came up with the name because I had been playing a ukulele song. I learned it actually for a Gimme song, and then just kind of kept playing it, kept learning songs, and then the name was the main reason.
Why did you choose to play the ukulele? Because that's not a lot of people consider playing that instrument.
Well, it started with the I Believe I Can Fly, the Gimme's song, and I just would keep playing the ukulele on the bus and keep learning new songs, and then the name was the main motivator. It was the name. I wanted to say that to people and have people read it, and then especially coming to Europe, like in Spain, for example, they have no idea. So that's a lot of fun too.
Someone once called me an outsider, and I don't really care about being different. I think it's okay to be different, but it's the way that he said it that made me feel really bad about myself, like there was something wrong with me. Do you feel that you are free to be who you are, or do you care what people say about you?
I try not to. My wife Audra, whom you met, she's much better about not giving a fuck what other people think. You know what I mean? Like, and I learn a lot from her, because eventually, once you get to know people, and if you get some perspective on people, you figure out that they're not as confident or as strong as they like to appear, and or as smart or as deep or as anything as they like to appear, and so that makes all of my outsider qualities feel like a badge of honor. You know what I mean? Because I'm not really a fighter. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say that I had to fight for it, but I definitely was beat up a lot for it. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. So for being different. So like, it's, you know, it's something. Yeah, I'm proud of being an outsider. You know. And then outsiders are generally who make the insiders. At least in the creative world, outsiders are the ones that generally become the people who are worshipped by
True.
all the insiders, you know? So, I don't know who that was that told you that, but that's you know, fuck them, you know what I mean? Like, they're just trying to cover up their own flaws, I think.
Yeah. Is this your first time in Belgium with Uke-Hunt?
Yeah, that's the first time in Europe.
First time in Europe?
Yeah.
Do you want to learn some Dutch words?
I can try, but man, like, it's not gonna come out right, I promise. But yes, sure.
What do you want to say?
Oh man, now you got me.
Do you want to learn something that you can use at the show tonight?
Sure. Absolutely. But then I'd have to write it down, because I'd never be able to remember it. It's like, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're Uke-Hunt from Yuba City, California. How about that?
Goedenavond.
Goedenavond.
Iedereen? Iedereen.
Iedereen.
Goedenavond iedereen.
Goedenavond iedereen.
Wij zijn Uke-Hunt.
We zijn Uke-Hunt
Yes.
als Yuba City. Van Yuba City. Van Yuba City.
Californië.
Goedenavond.
Goedenavond iedereen.
Goedenavond iedereen.
Wij
Is that
zijn
men and women, ladies and gentlemen.
everyone.
Iedereen.
Yes.
Goedenavond iedereen. We zijn Uke-Hunt.
Van.
Alright. Van Yuba City, California.
Right on.
Alright. Thank you. Goedenavond.
We'll practice later.
Alright, thank you.
Well, during this interview, I found out that you're a very honest and smart person, and I think that's an important and amazing quality that you have in your personality.
Well, thank you.
And sometimes it's hard to find it in people. Have you always been like that, or is it something that has grown on you, something that you developed as you grew older?
Most of what I consider things that may be smart, you know, like I don't know if I'm very smart, you know what I mean? But I barely finished high school. But most of the things that I consider smart are like things that I learned for real. Like all my geography that I know is from traveling.
To be world wise.
Is not and then most of the things I know about different cultures and different languages are things that I learned from practice rather than from reading in theory about. And then most of the other smarts that I have, a lot of the common sense stuff is I picked up from my wife. She's really smart but also really tough.
Oh, really?
And sort of like there are different kinds of smarts. There's like the intellectual smarts, which is, it's sometimes smart, you know, but it's very theoretical. And then there's like real smarts that really help you like either succeed in life or to be happy, you know, or not to take shit from other people, you know. And that's something that came very late in life.
Okay. Well, thank you for this chat, and
Thank you.
I brought you a little something.
No, thank you very much. Should I open it?
Yeah, you did.
Chocolate twist.
Chocolate twister.
So you play Twister and the prize is chocolate?
Of course.
Wow,
You're in
thank
Belgium.
you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Well, have a good show tonight, and thank you so
you.
much for doing this.
And thank you for the present.